Alistair, fantastic you can join me. Congratulations on winning the PraxisAuril Partnership of the Year Award in 2020. I don't know whether you have it. Maybe it's still at home and you can hold it up high, but well done for getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a few minutes with you. I'd really like to explore, I mean, what fascinates me about strategic partnerships is how they grew. And in reading this, there's a really fascinating story there, but perhaps it would be useful to start off by you telling us, I mean, who's it with and give us a little bit of context.
Okay, sure. So, well, firstly, I think we're, as a team, very pleased to have won. And I won't lie, it was a bit of a surprise at the award ceremony. I honestly hadn't expected to win. No, it's a great partnership. It's a partnership with Siemens UK predominantly, and it's one that's evolved over time, and we're really pleased that it's been so successful and continues to be. So it started well. If I take it back, we as a university have engaged with Siemens over the years on a number of fronts, but it's typically been on a case-by-case, project-by-project basis, depending on business needs with Siemens.
And this is around rail. I mean, obviously Birmingham, that's what I associate with automotive, and with rail. You had the old BREL there, didn't you?
Yeah. So well, actually, the Siemens piece has been in a number of areas over the years, but it grew in terms of prominence and strength in rail. Absolutely. So having started on a project-by-project basis. Rail, as Siemens restructured a number of years ago, Siemens Mobility, which does their traffic management and rail activity, really grew the relationship with the University of Birmingham and the rail research group specifically, so BCRRE, so that's the Birmingham Centre for Rail Research and Education, and through that relationship over time, that at a personal level with individuals, those relationships have strengthened. The diversity of research as the research group itself has grown, has meant the opportunity for better and broader engagement within Siemens Mobility. So that relationship has been establishing and growing for the past couple of years or so, to the point where earlier this year, we actually signed a strategic framework agreement specifically with the rail aspect in mind with Siemens Mobility. And what will happen in the future now as Siemens Mobility start to build and grow their rail ecosystem up in Goole in Northern England, as part of a very purpose-built rail manufacturing facility. And this ecosystem of supply chain and innovators, now the University of Birmingham will absolutely be prominent up there in this mid TRL space, where we can take some of the innovation research from campus and have the ability to start to put it into more of an applied situation before then, the potential of Siemens.
Right. But let's just take I mean, for me, when somebody signs a framework agreement, that's a signal that this is engaged at the top level of both organizations. I mean, it's got that attention, but it has to grow there. I mean, I come later on to the sort of the need for trust and mutual understanding that makes both sides seriously commit. And at the other end, at the beginning end, you said that there was a lot of work going on bilateral. I think you, without any pun intended, you said point-to-point relationships going on there. So, I mean, as an engagement team, what is it that you did to turn it from that set of bilaterals into something that resembled more of a web that became strategically important to both?
So that's a good question, and actually that is absolutely what's helped us grow beyond mobility into the broader Siemens piece. So I think as a team, in terms of knowledge exchange and as we define it, the team that I particularly represent, business engagement, it's about a combination of things: understanding business need and areas of interest and where the direction of travel within the business is. And that's as much about personal relationships and how well you get on with people at a client point of view, but also the element of the internal network at the university, understanding who's doing what in terms of research, areas of interest. in the university environment, it's such a vast, particularly in engineering, it's such a vast array of research. Just keeping abreast of what's going on, and then there's always this middle ground of well, I'm aware that the industry partner has X, we have some research Y. Let's start a conversation and make some introductions. So for us as Knowledge Exchange, it's about the networks on both fronts, that external network and the internal network, and from that it's in terms of getting from the point to point piece up to a strategic partnership. I guess it's right people talking to the right people at all levels, not just those that are doing the research, but also at a senior executive level, but also understanding from a relationship point of view, what does good look like, for want of a better term, for both parties. It's not if we're going to invest in the time and effort to build this relationship, it's got to be more than just a specific piece of research.
Yeah, but it goes more presumably than just conversations. I mean, there must be a set of activities that you gradually build.
Yes.
To increase, if nothing else, the mutual understanding. If you like the richness of the web of bilaterals.
Yes, absolutely. So quite often it will start with a conversation, but then it's about hosting people on campus, and we at Birmingham, we call them discovery days, and it's as much about it's the client discovering information on research, but also academics discovering what the company is engaged in and where their interests are. So we will host as a I guess a first stage exploratory session for a number of academics, number of research groups, and then an equivalent technology specialist at the client, and we will host. It could be half a day, it could be a day, depending on the volume of stuff to talk about. And it really is just that, it's exploring what each party is doing.
Okay, but you say you get some areas of mutual interest. I mean, again, my assumption is that you need to make something happen pretty quickly, otherwise there's a conversation that dissipates. So, what's the role here? I mean, are there any sort of seed funds or other early engagement type mechanisms that you have to fertilize and grow this?
There are
from the conversation.
Yeah, so we have access to the IAA, to the Impact Acceleration fund, and quite often we will help some initial exploratory projects, and it's about co-funding rather than paying for one party or another. So we will often say, this potentially something here. Let's explore where that could go from a broader pocket of research. There is obviously the landscape around Innovate as well, and opportunities there. It's not always just about a direct research project with an academic on campus. It can be part of a broader collaborative project with other partners. So for us as knowledge exchange experts, it's about bringing those people together, either on a one-to-one basis or a one-to-many basis, and helping drive those opportunities and helping explore, I guess, where funding opportunities are, and actually do we have something that might be of interest and might be relevant to that funding opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. And you talk about the hub, which interested me, the supply chain hub, which sounds like it's a sort of something of more of a facility that you've created to bring people in. I mean, is this something physical or virtual?
It will be physical. It's a bit virtual at the moment. So if we talk about
everything's a bit virtual at the moment.
Well, indeed. So yes, it's I guess the easiest comparison I can make is if you take the ERDF programs, where a number of institutions will support regional SMEs in terms of engagement with academia, engagement with innovation and research. This is almost an extension of that, in so much as there will be a physical place for SMEs to, so in this case, the broader rail supply chain, to be based, whether they are a startup spin out and just need office space, or whether actually it's just about the proximity to others in that ecosystem. And it's about helping facilitate, as I said, that the interaction with it. My background is one of private sector, and when I first joined the university sector, I honestly, after 20 odd years in the private sector, I didn't understand the full range of opportunities for businesses to engage with the sector. And I think that's very much what this hub and part of this program is there to do. It's about that awareness and then drive the innovation that comes from collaborating.
Okay. And what strikes me also is that the relationship has kind of infiltrated other departments. I mean, I was fascinated to see you've even managed to bring in the business school, which is a feat by itself. I mean, is this something that kind of happened organically? Was this sort of seen as prestige to engage with the overall relationship, or you know, is it opportunities that you spotted, or you know, how have other academic departments become involved in this?
It's a bit of both. You know, there is absolutely the organic element of other departments. As soon as they recognise a brand name, oh, that's really interesting, I have something that might be of interest. But also there is absolutely an element of by design. You know, it's once you've built that start of a relationship, you're constantly looking for okay, so what's next? You know, where can we grow it? Can we grow it in scale? Can we grow it in type of engagement? You know, whether it's you know, student sponsorship, guest lecturing. You know, it's more than just research, and you know, these partnerships are all encompassing. So there's an element of by design. You know, making sure that we have the right people in the room when we talk at a strategic level. Okay, so in the next 3 years, you as a business are going in this direction. Can we support you in that endeavour? Do we have relevant expertise on campus? It could just be as a consultancy kind of activity, you know, which could support you. So in terms of the other departments, yes, we absolutely identified some target areas where we know and knew at the time Siemens were focusing quite a degree of effort. So energy, a prime example.
Energy Institute, as you said. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was an obvious conversation to start Siemens Energy and our Birmingham Energy Institute, just to start again, one of those discovery days I mentioned, just to start to explore, okay, you're doing this, we're doing that. Is there some opportunity to start working together, and collaborate?
Yeah. Okay. So it's fertilizing this, and absolutely. Again, it comes from the amount of time you spend with them in order to understand their needs and you know,
very much so.
Opportunities that you know then are going to be attractive.
Very, very much so. It is absolutely, you know, it's about, I mentioned networking, but it is about customer service. It's about understanding, you know, what drives a business, quite often the urgency of a business, what end goals, what the marketplace as a whole looks like. And, you know, having a foot in almost that both camp in so much as the industrial sector and then the academic sector, and being able to facilitate the interaction of what sometimes can be, you know, they can sometimes be a bit of a, you know, a butt against a wall in terms of speed or bureaucracy or process. So yeah, it's smoothing that interaction. Absolutely.
Okay. What has also intrigued me is you put quite a lot of emphasis on the publicizing the outcomes. I mean, I think you talked about maximizing the visibility of innovation pipelines. And this intrigues me because I think that creating stories is one of the outputs of knowledge transfer exchange units with the university. But again, I think there's something more than this. It's almost by publicizing it, you're drawing more people into it as well as telling the world about it.
Absolutely, and there's as you say, there's both elements. You know, there is the publicity from publicizing it. It is you know, it is awareness. It is, as you say, drawing other people in. You know, and it's a combination. It's both partners saying, look, we've done some really great stuff. You know, come and have a conversation with us. You know, and we come back to the supply chain conversation. But you're right. You know, you publicize. You start talking about things like REF and upcoming KEF, for example, and be able to demonstrate impact of the research, the activity, the knowledge transfer, the partnership as a whole, and you know, that feeds into, let's be honest, a university's reputation when we talk ref and kef. But yeah, so it works for both parties.
Yeah, so it's outbound marketing and inbound marketing. Actually, I've only just thought of that, but that's essentially what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have you got a particular example that you're proud of, something that's come out of this, of the, well, maybe out of the supply chain community hub, if that isn't too new, sort of something that you have publicised as a,
so
look what we did.
so in terms of this particular partnership, you know, we talk about the supply chain hub. There will be a second phase to that. Will be this innovation centre up at the Siemens site. So it will be a University of Birmingham branded centre for innovation, although it won't be on the university campus. So it becomes an extension of that research that happens here. As I said, that then can be right next to industry. So that immediate access to the collaborative partners, rather than having to, you know, go through the process of arranging people to come to campus, etc., I think is invaluable. Beyond that, some of the other bits, I think some of the engagement we have around, we mentioned energy, but the Tisley Energy Park, which is an area within Birmingham, which has been run around novel energy use, novel energy innovation and research. And the energy park isn't a university facility, but we're building a building for energy innovation. And I think, again, as another ecosystem, you know, we can, and we have done, we've introduced Siemens, and Siemens are now, there's a number of projects happening in that ecosystem. Okay. So it's facilitating the broader collaboration opportunities, I think.
Yeah. And the times I've been up to the university, so I go up there every year, it always seems to be something new is being built. So you're part of that.
That's very true. Yeah.
So listen, one last thing here. I mean, it always, how it gets taken to the next level. I mean, you've got all these, you know, bilaterals, as you say, and even some slightly larger that be at a faculty level. But presumably, I mean, you've spoken here of a value of £92 million. I don't know where that comes from, but you know, these are big bucks, which must involve the heads of the two organisations. At what point and how did it come into the consciousness of, you know, the very senior levels with these kind of strategic money that they were able to put into play?
Yes. So it's a good question. So in terms of the evolution of that relationship and the growth, as the relationship grows, any relationship grows into a number of different areas. So you're not talking about a particular faculty or a particular discipline or a particular research group. You know, you'll then start talking about needing executive support. And so what we have done is put in a very defined governance structure for the relationship, and I think that's key. It is a governance of the relationship. It's not just a relationship management committee. And
that governance obviously involves very senior figures of the two organisations. So that gives them the chance to talk to each other as well.
Exactly. So what we've done is we've put in an executive council at the top, which involves our university provost and then the CEO for Siemens UK. They co-chair it. And then actually beyond that, we have a couple of subcommittees. One, for example, very much focused on ongoing research. And these committees in the council meet on a regular basis and help to define the relationship, you know, in so much as over the next 3 to 5 years, mutually beneficial goals are X. How do we achieve that? And where are maybe this immediate opportunity for, there's a funding opportunity come up, and we have, an opportunity to bid for something in whatever. So it's that, I guess, it's the targeted control, for want of a better phrase, about that relationship. And as you say, at a very senior level, getting that buy-in on what is mutually beneficial for the partnership is absolutely key.
Yeah. Just last couple of questions. How is the university, I mean, if it isn't an obvious question, and maybe it is, I mean, how has the university benefited from this? I mean, it's got buildings, hurrah, it's got some nice impact case studies, but, you know, at a kind of, I mean, almost the academic mission, how's the university benefited?
So I think, you know, outside of you know, a relationship with industry and a brand name per se, I think if I look at our academic community, more and more so, as I have no doubt you well know, Jeff, impact and research that can be used and demonstrated in the real world is absolutely critical. And more academics understand that, yes, fundamental science, fundamental research, blue sky, if you will, still has a place. But more and more academics, I find, are driven by being able to take that research and get it out to industry. And by having these sorts of partnerships, it provides us with a relatively easy conduit to getting this research out into market. And you know, yes, you know, from an impact UK PLC point of view, obviously, but actually, you know, more fundamentally, a lot of that is what drives academics to do the research in the first place. Yeah,
better research problems.
Yeah.
So looking back over the last few years that you've been driving this with colleagues, I mean, what do you? I mean, we see a lot of universities now trying to develop strategic relationships, and sometimes they work, sometimes they do for a while. This looks like enduring, if for no other reason that it's in, you know, bricks and mortar, and it's such a web of relationships that it has some sort of robustness to it, a resilience to it, and you've seen it grow over time. What would be your advice? I mean, what do you think are the key things that you've done right in fertilizing this?
So I think there are a couple of things. I think I think the personal piece, you know, finding the right people to talk to and building and establishing those relationships, and that's as much about committing to something and delivering on what you say you're going to do at a very fundamental level, but also, you know, understanding what it is that the other party need or want from that relationship, and you know, listening, understanding what motivates them, what end goals are, and then being able to, and that's, you know, I say that's not a client, that's client and academic. Academics have goals and everything else as well. You know, it's being able to listen and understand, okay, you need to achieve X. To do that, I might have someone I can speak to who can assist with that. You know, it's very much that relationship bit. And then, you know, within that, it's about then growing to, I say within, it's about then growing that into multiple relationships, but identifying who the right people are on both sides that can actually have that constructive conversation around whatever the specific topic is. You know, it's not a case of finding an academic who can talk about energy, but is actually from the business school. That might be a lovely conversation, but you need someone to talk energy to energy, for example.
See that's right. So it's you know, spend a lot of money on lunches and getting people together and talking.
Yeah.
Well, look, Alistair, I don't want to take up any more of your time now. That's been absolutely fascinating, and I'm sure that this conversation will actually be used on the Developing Strategic Partnerships course, because, you know, it is that mysterious step that you've outlined and clearly conquered about the how do I turn something which is bilateral into a major strategic partnership that involves the top and involves both institutions. So
I think I would just add one final thing, you know,
go on.
To add to that, it's about time. You know, these things don't happen overnight. It's about building the trust and that relationship over time, so that both parties are comfortable with each other, and that's how it grows. Absolutely.
Yeah, social capital. Brilliant. Well, look, thanks ever so much. I think we'll leave it there, and great for sharing. And I guess now are you all back in the office yet, or as you
part-time? Yes, we're all back on campus some days a week at the moment. Yeah, and students have started to arrive. So
okay, well, let's hope that continues.
Atmosphere is starting to build back on campus, which is lovely.
Oh, brilliant, lovely. Okay, Alistair.
Right.
Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Take care.